Hari Rama, Rama Krishna, Krishna, Hari Hari Rama, Rama, Hari Rama, Hari Rama, Rama, Hari Rama, Hari Rama, Rama, Hari Rama, Hari Rama, Hari Krishna, 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 Hari Hari Rama, Hari Krishna, 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 Hari Rama, Hari Krishna, 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 Hari 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 Rama, Rama, Hari Rama, Rama, Hari Rama, 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 Hari Rama, Hari Rama, Hari Rama, Hari Rama, Hari Rama, Rama, Hari Rama, Rama, Hari Rama, Rama, Hari Rama, Krishna, Krishna, Hari Hari Rama, 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 Krishna, Krishna, Hari Rama, 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 Hari. Okay, so will read. Is that okay? Anyone who wants to stay is welcome. Anyone who wants to go, it's fine. Сейчас мы читаем Prabhupada lilamrita. Haribol. До свидания. You okay if we read? Yeah. So, devotees, Prabhupada lilamrita, chapter entitled New Jagannath Puri. And it's March the 21st, 1967. They just installed, Srila Prabhupada just installed Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Devi in the temple in San Francisco. And we read about that. Different things happened as the program developed. So now it's the next day. The next day, acting, well, first of all, Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharne Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachadishtarne Sri Krishna Chaitanya Pramanityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Shivas Adi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchikalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The next day, acting on a whim, the devotees took the Jagannath deity off the altar and carried him to Golden Gate Park for a kirtan. Within minutes, hundreds gathered in the meadow below Hippie Hill, dancing and chanting around Lord Jagannath. After several hours, the devotees returned him to the altar. Prabhupada disapproved. The deity should never leave the temple. The deities don't go out to see the people except on special occasions. They're not for parks, for birds to drop stool on. If you want to see the deities, you have to visit them. Lord Jagannath's presence quickly beautified the temple. Devotees made garlands for him daily. Jadharani's paintings of Lord Vishnu arrived from New York, and Govinda Dasi had painted a large portrait of Srila Prabhupada, which now hung beside his seat. Devotees also put Indian prints of Krishna on the walls. The lights flashing upon Lord Jagannath made his eyes seem to pulsate, and his colors move and jump, and he became a special attraction in the psychedelic neighborhood of Haight-Ashbury. As Prabhupada had requested, devotees and guests began bringing offerings before the altar of Lord Jagannath. Hippies would come by and leave whatever they could: a stalk of wheat, half a loaf of bread, a box of saltines, a piece of fudge, or candles, flowers, or fruit. Just a sec. Okay. excuse me, hearing that before using something for yourself, you should first offer it to God, some hippies began bringing their new clothes and offering them with a prayer to Lord Jagannath before wearing them. These hippies didn't follow Lord Jagannath's instructions, but they wanted his blessings. Each night, the devotees performed the arati ceremony, just as Prabhupada had taught them, taking turns offering a candle before Lord Jagannath. When the devotees asked whether they could add anything to the ceremony, Prabhupada said yes, they could also offer incense. He said there were many more details of deity worship, numerous enough to keep the devotees busy 24 hours a day. But if he were to tell them everything at once, they would faint. Speaking privately in his room to one of his disciples, Prabhupada said that during kirtan in the temple, he thought of Lord Caitanya dancing before Lord Jagannath. He told how Lord Caitanya had traveled to Puri and danced before Lord Jagannath in such ecstasy that he'd been unable to say anything more than "Jag, Jag." Lord Caitanya had been thinking, "Krishna, for so long I wanted to see you, and now I am seeing you." When Lord Caitanya had lived in Puri, as many as 500 men at a time would visit him. And every evening there would be a huge kirtan with 4 parties, each with 4 mridanga players and 8 kartal players. 1 party this side, 1 party this side, Prabhupada explained. 1 party backside, 1 party front side, and Caitanya Mahaprabhu in the middle. They would all dance, and the 4 parties would chant, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. That was going on every evening, so long he stayed at Jagannath Puri. The devotees understood that there was a great difference between themselves and Swamiji. He had never been a hippie. He wasn't at home amid the illusion of Haight-Ashbury's LSD, psychedelic posters, rock musicians, hippie jargon, and street people. They knew he was different, though sometimes they forgot. I remember when I'd sort of, not exactly first joined, but I was already been a devotee a couple of years. I had second initiation. And there were few occasions when Subhag, Swami now, and I cooked for Radhalanda and Ishwara. Cooked the offering, the evening, like 6:30 offering or thereabouts. So, and I remember one time, I think we started late and things were just slightly not well organized. And I told Subhag, Prabhu at the time, this is really spaced out. And Subhag said, "Oh, then we must space in." And he meant it. Yeah. So, right, he spent so much time with them every day, eating with them, joking with them, depending on them. But then sometimes they would remember his special identity. When they chanted with him in the temple before Lord Jagannath, he, unlike them, would be thinking of Lord Chaitanya's kirtans before Lord Jagannath in Puri. When Lord Chaitanya had seen Jagannath, he had seen Krishna, and his love for Krishna had been so great that he had gone mad. Prabhupada thought of these things to a degree far beyond what his disciples could understand, and yet he remained with them as their dear friend and spiritual instructor. He was their servant, teaching them to pray like him, to be able to serve Krishna. O Lord of the universe, kindly be visible unto me. Govinda Dasi had a question for Swamiji. He had mentioned briefly that Lord Chaitanya used to cry in separation from Krishna, and had once even thrown himself into a river crying, "Where is Krishna?" She was unsure whether her question would be proper, but she waited for an opportunity to ask it. One evening after the lecture, when Prabhupada asked for questions and there were none, Govinda Dasi thought, "This is my chance." But she hesitated. Her question wasn't on the subject of his lecture, and besides, she didn't like to ask questions in public. No question? Srila Prabhupada looked around. Govinda Dasi thought Swamiji seemed disappointed that there were no questions. He had said several times that they should ask questions and clear up any doubts. Again he asked, "Have you got any questions?" Govinda Dasi, well, could you tell about Lord Chaitanya asking Prabhupada, Govinda Dasi, asking where is Krishna? Prabhupada, Govinda Dasi, could you tell about Lord Chaitanya asking where is Krishna and falling in the water? Or would that be not? Prabhupada smiled. Yes, very nice. Your question is very nice. Oh, I'm very glad. Lord Chaitanya, he was the greatest symbol of Krishna Bhakti, a devotee of Krishna. So just see from his life, he never said that, "I have seen Krishna." Never said, "I have seen Krishna." He was mad after Krishna. That is the process of Chaitanya philosophy. It is called viraha. Viraha means separation. Separation. Krishna, you are so good. You are so merciful. You are so nice. But I am so rascal. I'm so full of sin that I cannot see you. I have no qualification to see you. So in this way, if one feels the separation of Krishna, Krishna, I want to see you, but I'm so disqualified that I cannot see you. These feelings of separation will make you enriched in Krishna consciousness. Feelings of separation. Not that Krishna, I've seen you, finished. All right, I've understood you, finished. All my business finished. No, perpetually. Think of yourself that I am unfit to see Krishna. That will enrich you in Krishna consciousness. And I don't know if I told you or you heard, maybe you heard anyway, Burijan told me, Burijan Prabhu, as I recall, he told me personally, that Prabhupada heard George Harrison's song, "My Sweet Lord." I really want to see you. I really want to be with you, but it takes so long. And Burijan said that Prabhupada said, you heard this? Oh, from me, okay. This is a song in separation, like Sanatan Goswami. Hare Krishna. Did I tell you that before? No. Okay. Caitanya Mahaprabhu displayed these feelings of separation. This is Radharani's separation. When Krishna went from Vrindavan to his place, his father's place, Radharani was feeling in that way, always mad after Krishna. So Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, took the separation feeling of Radharani. That is the best way of worshipping Krishna, becoming Krishna conscious. So you know that Lord Chaitanya fell on the sea. Krishna, if you are here. Krishna, if you are here. Similarly, the next devotees, Lord Chaitanya's direct disciples, the Goswamis, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, they also, the same disciplic succession, they also worship Krishna in that separation feeling. There's a nice verse about them. Srila Prabhupada sang, Hey Radhe Vrajadevi Ke Chalalite, Hey Nanda Suno Kuta, Shri Govardhana Kalpa Pada Patale, Kalindi Vanye Kuta, Goshantaviti Saravato Vrajapure, Kedar Maha Vivalo, Vande Rupa Sanatano, Raguyago, Sri Jiva Gopalako. These Goswamis also, later on, when they were very much mature in devotional service, what were they doing? They were daily in the Vrindavan Dham, just like a madman. Krishna, where are you? That is the quality. It is a very nice question. Srila Prabhupada paused and uttered a thoughtful, He remained silent. They also remained silent, watching him. He sat cross-legged on the black velvet pillow on the redwood dais. His hands were folded, his eyes closed, and he became overpowered by inner feelings of ecstasy. Although the simple devotees present could not know what was happening, they could see him enter a deep inward state. They could feel the atmosphere transform into awesome devotional stillness. They kept their eyes fixed on him. A minute and a half passed. Srila Prabhupada uttered another thoughtful and opened his eyes. They were filled with tears. He reached over and grasped his kartals, which rattled in his hand, but he moved no further. Again, he withdrew from external consciousness. Another minute of silence passed. The minute seemed extremely calm, yet intense and long. Another minute passed. After almost 4 minutes, Prabhupada cleared his throat and struck the kartals together, beginning the slow rhythm. A devotee began the one-note drone on the harmonium. Prabhupada sang, Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radha Ramana Hari, Govinda Jaya Jaya, building the chanting to a lively pace. After about 10 minutes, the kirtan stopped and Prabhupada left the room. As the devotees rose and began their various duties, some leaving out the front door behind Prabhupada and going to the kitchen, others coming together for conversation, they all knew that their spiritual master had been intensely feeling separation from Krishna. They had no doubt that it was a deep ecstasy, because just by being in his presence during that long and special stillness, they also had felt a glimmer of the same love for Krishna. On the invitation of his disciples, Srila Prabhupada agreed to hold a kirtan on the beach. On a Tuesday night, with no kirtan or lecture scheduled in the temple, he got into the back seat of one of the devotees' cars. About a dozen initiated followers and a couple of dogs got into other cars, and together they traveled to the beach. When they arrived, some devotees went running across the beach, gathering driftwood and building a fire in the shelter of a sand dune. The late afternoon air was cool, and there was a seaside wind. Prabhupada was dressed in a long checkered coat over a hooded sweatshirt. During the kirtan, he clapped and danced, while the devotees joined hands, forming a circle around him. As the sun was setting, all the devotees faced the ocean, raising their arms and singing as loudly as they could, Hari Bol. But with the surf pounding in on the coast, and with a great expanse of windy air around them, their kirtan sounded very small. Gathering around the fire, the devotees buried foil-wrapped potatoes and foil-wrapped apples filled with raisins and brown sugar under the coals. It was their idea, but Prabhupada was happy to comply with their ideas of California kirtan fun. Haridas and Hayagriva had composed a song about the sage Narada Muni, and they sang it for Prabhupada. Do you know who's the first eternal spaceman of this universe? The first to send his wild, wild vibrations to all those cosmic superstations. For the song he always shouts sends the planets flipping out. But I'll tell you before you think me loony that I'm talking about Narada Muni singing Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Prabhupada laughed. He liked anything that had chanting in it, and he asked them to compose more such songs for their countrymen. Walking together along the beach, they came upon an old, dilapidated Dutch windmill. Mukunda, Prabhupada said, you should approach the government and tell them that we will restore this windmill if they let us build a temple on this site. Mukunda took it as a joke at first, but then he saw that Prabhupada was completely serious. Mukunda said he would inquire about it. Prabhupada, in his oversized checkered coat, buttoned up to the neck, was the beloved center of the devotees' outing. After their walk, he sat with them on a big log, eating baked potatoes smeared with melted butter. And when he finished, he threw his remnants to the dogs. As the night grew dark, stars appeared high over the ocean, and the devotees stood close around Prabhupada for a last kirtan. Then, just as in the temple, they bowed down, and Prabhupada called out the prayers to the Lord and the disciplic succession. But he ended, "All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the Pacific Ocean." They all laughed. Swamiji was doing what his disciples wanted, enjoying an evening kirtan cookout at the beach with them. And they were doing what he wanted, chanting the Mahamantra, becoming devotees of Krishna, and becoming happy. Let's see. I'll read a little more, another few minutes. There's a change of situation. Hayagriva sat facing Prabhupada, alone with Prabhupada in his room. A few days before, Hayagriva had shown Prabhupada a play about Lord Caitanya he had found in the library, and Prabhupada had said it wasn't bona fide. So Prabhupada decided to prepare an outline for a bona fide play and have Hayagriva write it. "I will give you the whole plot complete," Srila Prabhupada said. "Then all you'll have to do is execute it." Prabhupada was in a relaxed, jolly mood, intent on relating the events of Lord Chaitanya's life. He had prepared an outline of 23 scenes, and now he wanted to expound each one. Hayagriva had barely enough time to understand what Prabhupada was about to do, and almost no time to prepare himself for note-taking as Prabhupada began describing the first scene. First scene, he began, is that people are passing on the road with Sankirtan just as we do. There's very nice procession with mridanga and cartels and that bugle, and all people are doing Sankirtan in the ordinary way. We have to make a nice procession. The second scene shows Kali as decorated, blackish, with royal dress and very ugly features, and his queen is another ugly-featured lady. So they're disturbed. They will talk amongst themselves that there is the Sankirtan movement now, so how shall we prosecute our business in this age of quarrel, Kali Yuga? In that scene, there'll be in one corner 2 or 3 people drinking. The scene will be like that. The age of quarrel personified and his consort are sitting in the center. In one corner, someone is taking part in drinking, and in another part, somebody is illicitly talking of lust and love with a woman. In another section, there is slaughtering of a cow, and in another section, gambling. In this way, that scene should be adjusted. And in the middle, the ugly man, Kali, and the ugly woman will talk that we're now in danger. The Sankirtan movement has been started. What to do? In this way, you have to finish that scene. Then the third scene is very nice, rasa dance. Hayagriva interrupted. He had some of his own ideas about what he called the dramatic point of view, quote unquote. I think, Hayagriva said, strongly articulating his words, this can apply for the whole world, in the sense that the names may be Indian, but I think the exhibition you described of the assembly of Kali and his consort's sin and the exhibition of illicit sex and the slaughterhouse can all be from Western prototypes. Srila Prabhupada said that he had no objection to Hayagriva's suggestion, but that he didn't want people to think he was singling out Westerners as if they were the only ones who committed illicit sex. Hayagriva was about to reply, but decided that this was no time to quibble. Swamiji was eager to go on describing the pastimes of Lord Caitanya. Prabhupada. Rasa dance means Krishna and Radharani in the center, and the gopis are surrounding. You have seen that surrounding scene when they were dancing with us the other day in the park, hand to hand? Hayagriva, yes, yes. Prabhupada. So one Krishna and one gopi, they're dancing. That should be the scene. Then it's okay? Oh, the stadium. Or, oh, okay, okay. It's fine. Okay, so one Krishna and one gopi, they're dancing. That should be the scene. Then the rasa dance should be stopped, and Krishna will talk with the gopis. Krishna will say to the gopis that, my dear friends, you have come to me in the dead of night. It is not very good, because it is the duty of every woman to please her husband. So what your husband will think if you come in such dead of night, so please go back. So in this way the gopis will reply that, you cannot request us to go back, because with great difficulty and with great ecstatic desire we have come to you. And it is not your duty to ask us to go back. In this way, you arrange some talking that Krishna is asking them to go back, but they're insisting, no, let us continue our rasa dance. Then, when the rasa dance is finished, the gopis will go, and then Krishna will say, these gopis are my heart and soul. They're so sincere devotees that they do not care for family encumbrances or any bad name. They come to me. So how shall I repay them? He was thinking, how shall I repay their ecstatic love? So he thought that I cannot repay them unless and until I take up their situation to understand me. But I myself cannot understand me. I have to take the position of the gopis, how they are loving me. So with that consideration, he took the form of Lord Caitanya. Therefore Krishna is blackish, and Lord Caitanya is the color of the gopis. The whole life of Lord Caitanya is the representation of the gopis' love toward Krishna. That should be painted in the picture of this scene. Do you have anything to ask? Prabhupada, Hayagriva, this is his determination to incarnate as Lord Caitanya? Prabhupada, Lord Caitanya, yes. Hayagriva, Prabhupada, in order to appreciate Krishna in the form of a gopi, just like I've got dealings with you, so you have got your individuality and I've got my individuality. But if I want to study how you are so much obedient and loving to me, then I have to go to your position. It is very natural psychology. You have to paint in that way. Prabhupada described and explained one story after another. Most of them new to Hayagriva. Hayagriva couldn't properly spell or even pronounce the names. He didn't know who Lord Chaitanya's mother was or whether Nityananda was a devotee. And when Prabhupada told the story of Srila Gopinath, the deity who stole condensed milk for his devotee, Hayagriva got confused and thought Prabhupada had said that Lord Caitanya had stolen the condensed milk. Prabhupada, no. Oh, you did not hear? Caitanya, after seeing the deity, he was sitting and seeing, and meantime Nityananda Prabhu narrated the story, how the deity's name became Srila Gopinath. You do not follow me? Hayagriva groped. Nityananda? Prabhupada, Nityananda was going with Lord Caitanya. Hayagriva, Nityananda was narrating this to Lord Caitanya. Prabhupada, yes, the deity was known as Srila Gopinath. The story, Prabhupada repeated for the third time, was narrated that formerly he stole one pot of condensed milk for his devotee. Hayagriva, now what direct relationship does this have to Lord Caitanya? Prabhupada, Lord Caitanya visited this temple. Anyone in those days going to Jagannath Puri from Bengal had to pass that way. And on the way, the Srila Gopinath temple is there. So everyone used to visit. Formerly, Madhavendra Puri also visited, and for him, the deity stole the condensed milk. From that time, the deity is known as Srila Gopinath. That story was narrated to Caitanya Mahaprabhu. So while sitting before the deity, the story was narrated, and Caitanya Mahaprabhu relished that God is so kind that sometimes he steals for his devotee. This is the significance. So here the scene should be arranged that it is a very nice temple, the deity is within, and Lord Caitanya has entered while chanting Hare Krishna. And then he saw the worship, arti. These things are to be shown in this scene. And a little story about him, that's all. When Prabhupada told of Lord Chaitanya's visit to the Sakshi Gopal temple, Hayagriva again got lost. Do you follow? Prabhupada asked. No, Hayagriva chuckled. No. Eventually, Hayagriva stopped asking questions and interrupting. Although he had very little knowledge of the identity or meaning of the characters, as soon as he'd heard a little about them, he'd been trying to adjust and rearrange their activities from the quote-unquote dramatic point of view. Prabhupada had raised no objections to Hayagriva's inquiries. In fact, Prabhupada had invited them so that Hayagriva could understand how to present the play. Hayagriva decided to first try to hear what Prabhupada was saying. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So you're all welcome, and you can invite others tomorrow. Same time, same place. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna